Welcome to Lisa and Michael Save the World, 5 minutes or more with painter Jessie Taylor.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for
Welcome.
having me.
So, Michael, why don't you get us started?
Okay, well, we love, or at least, or especially me, love talking about art holes, our art hole. And usually, of course, I pick little children who ruin art. Um, but we'd like to hear from you who you think is an art, or what you think is an art hole. What ruins art for you?
Um, I think what ruins art for me, and if I can be totally candid, is people who have the resources to create art, but they're not actually creating the art themselves. So they're actually creating some sort of factory. For instance, Jeff Koons, or I think maybe even Andy Warhol did this. And I know I don't, it pains me because everybody believes he's such a great, he's one of the greatest. But these people didn't really make any art. They just sort of came up with an idea and had other people execute it, and then their work is now famous, and they are famous as a result of other artists who have actually created the work, and like snowballed it into the place that it actually is now. So it's like I feel like there's always that problem in the art world of getting recognized or being able to do art as an actual job, and it because it doesn't pay, right? That whole starving artist thing is real. And so I think that that type of thing perpetuates the situation with regards to starving artists. So the people who already have all the funds and the resources maintain those resources and funds and pay pennies to the rest of the people who are actually making the art come to life. So yeah, it's kind of a serious twist, and it kind of speaks a lot to how what's going on in the world today in general with like hyper corporatism and like late stage capitalism. So that's kind of my art hole for sure.
That's a good art hole.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Jessie. So I totally agree with you, because I feel like some artists are more like idea creators. They create this idea, and then they essentially, what you're saying, farm it out very cheaply. And I can tell you that when I got out of art school, one of my first jobs was being a painter for another painter.
Right.
He was super famous, and his work was all over the world. And he had me and many other what he called apprentices doing it. But we weren't apprentices. We were, we were talented artists. We weren't learning how to paint from him. He hired us because we were good, talented painters. But there's no credit given to us at all. And like you're saying, we were paid a minuscule amount of money.
Right. And I think that it's great that there's some sort of, like somebody like that could share their resources. Like, okay, I'm famous. I'm getting paid a bunch of money to create this work of art. I'm not against people having ideas and gathering the resources to do it, but I feel like everybody should be noticed for being a participant in that equally, and not just one. It's like this pyramid scheme, right? It's just like one person siphons all of the resources and the rest just get like little buckets of it, when really how would it ever have happened without everybody cooperating together to make it? So
Absolutely. Yeah,
Michael,
I
what's
was
your
actually,
opinion?
well, I really did not, ignorance is bliss, but I guess maybe because I'm not a painter or illustrator, I did not know that until I think we were together, I think at a museum, you and you had mentioned that. There was something we were talking about, and you said, oh, well, they have like artists that like do their work because they're working on so many things. And I was floored. I had absolutely no idea that that went on. uh
right.
yeah, it's a little bit odd, honestly, I
It's
think.
kind of like branding. It's like, okay, so they're just a brand. They're the name that sells, and they don't list in the credits the rest of the people that made the things. Like even a T-shirt will say made in such and such factory, right? It'll have like a number, like who checked it. Like it doesn't even have any reference to anybody, right? So it's just, and there's like this saying: is it's not a saying, I guess it's just kind of like a party thing that people will say is like, Banksy, person or corporation? Like, how is, there's no way, like, because there's like been situations where Banksy's been in two places at one time, or and he's never showed his face. So is it like multiple people, or is it one person, or so like what is actually happening there? So there, I mean, art always takes something and kind of twists it on its head, and and I'm for that, but I think that everybody should be recognized for the contribution.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you.
absolutely.
People like Warhol, like you mentioned, he called it the factory. That was his studio, and had all these people working in there. Many who haven't become famous, but have become known because of documentaries and so on, that revealed who they were. But otherwise, we'd never know
right.
because how could one person in their lifetime make like thousands of pieces? It's physically impossible.
Right. So if you're just a starving artist, how do you climb that ladder to get to that place? It's like you already have to be minted, right? To get, or like, I don't know, start from grassroots, like starting a plein air event, or you, like how you're always like promoting other artists. Like, it's just like making a name for yourself. But how, are you ever going to rise to that level of Warhol or Koons or Banksy? Like, how, I don't want to quash your dreams, but like, I just feel that's my art hole, is like, is that possible? But I don't, it seems impossible if you're not starting out with like $1 million.
Yeah. Right. Or you have, like you're saying, you have some kind of backer, somebody who's
Right.
investing in you, and you become the brand.
Right.
Which generally means that you have to be a certain personality type as well.
Right.
Because somebody who's an introvert and brutally shy isn't a good front man, for a band, for promotion, for, anything. So it's really less than 1% success rate.
Yeah. Right. For
Gosh,
sure.
I think I'm going to become an accountant after this conversation.
I'm really sorry. Yeah, I know. You
It's
got to have
really
a side
who
job. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really who you know sometimes. I mean, the most famous artists aren't necessarily the most talented. I mean, there's tons of
right.
talented artists, and and that really goes for a lot of things in the arts. I think that goes to music, to acting. It's kind of luck and who you know, and
Right.
know, it's a combination of luck and who you know. And of course, I'm not taking away anyone's talent. You got to have some sort of talent to get in.
Right.
Right.
No doubt.
But
Or
you have to have a
maybe.
discipline too to get yourself to that. You can have talent all you want, but if you're not practicing, you're not exercising, then you're not doing anything, right? So there's also that.
Yeah, that's true. I always tell artists, if keeping your arsenal of work in your basement works for you, that's great. But if you're creating art, you're creating it to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I definitely fall victim to that. Like, I don't want to share. I haven't shared in a long time on social media or anything, just because I don't know. I just haven't felt compelled to do it. I haven't finished anything yet. I have this thing where I always create big pieces, and it takes me so long to finish them. And doing progress shots doesn't mean anything to people really, who are the general population. Like, okay, great, so you finished the yellow part. Like, I don't know, like, so it's just like, yeah, it took 4 hours to finish the yellow part. Like, so yeah, it's difficult. It's a difficult industry for
It is.
sure, but
And
it's fun.
it's fun. And the blessing and the curse is we have to do it as artists.
Yeah.
It's innate within us. And the
Yeah.
reality of it does not preclude us from working on it constantly.
Right, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I paint every day. So it's
Mhm.
like, just because this stuff might bother me, this is my art hole, right? Like, I still feel like I need to leave a legacy. I need to do the thing that's in my heart. So
Yeah. This was great. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Jessie.
yeah, thank you. Thank you too.
And we're going to have your website, social media scrolling down on the bottom so everyone can go and check out your work and follow you.
Cool.
Because that's another thing that we like for people to, support each other and follow each other.
Yeah, thank you for introducing me to your crowd. That's really an honor. Thank you.
Jessie, thank you so much.
Thank you.